race fans, welcome into another episode of Backseat Drivers. We just keep adding to the backseat here. I'm going to be joined by the regular suspects, Kim Kuhn and Jonathan Merriman, but we're also going to add a new face to the backseat of the Backseat Drivers. Danny B is going to join us. He may know a lot more than we do, guys.
I wouldn't say that. I like to think that I know a little bit. There's plenty of stat sheets out there that can help you when you need to know something, though.
Yeah, all right. Well, we won't tell everybody that you have a cheat sheet. Just act like you know it on your own. All right. Well, Kim, I have to address you first because Merriman said that Denny was in trouble and struggling. He won. So can we say that we were right again?
Hey, there are plenty of stat sheets out there that would have backed me up saying that Denny was in trouble and struggling. Look, I think the cooler temperatures in the night race helped Denny Hamlin. If it was hot, I think it would have been a different story. But, yes, I was wrong in the long run.
You were wrong. Right. We were right.
Yes.
Denny is still on fire. And we're headed to New Hampshire this weekend where he has done well. So I think he continues.
Danny, I'm going to loop you into the conversation here because the three of us all at least agree on one thing, is that Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin are a class of their own right now in the NASCAR Cup Series. Do you agree?
I would definitely agree on that. Even since last year, they've been that way.
Yeah. All right. So let's look ahead to New Hampshire. Kim, you kind of teed us up because Denny Hamlin's really good there too. Merriman picked, no surprise, Kevin Harvick on the preview show. So what can we expect heading up north? They've had a little bit of off time. We had the 4 races in 12 days, which was crazy for the Cup Series. But they've had some time to kind of regain their strength. So what can we expect from New Hampshire?
Yeah, I think, again, Denny Hamlin is on my radar. He's done very well in the past at New Hampshire. He's coming off the momentum of a win at Kansas, won 3 of the last 8. I think he continues to dominate. I would be, surprised if he was not a top contender this weekend as we head to New Hampshire. I'm also looking at Joey Logano. He hasn't fared really well in the last handful of races. Obviously already locked into the playoffs with 2 wins, but now's the kind of time for teams like that to kind of reinvigorate their season before we kick off the playoffs in a handful of weeks. Logano's been good at New Hampshire before, so that's somebody else I'm watching this weekend.
I think if you just take a step back and look at it, I think you can definitely, almost write in Denny or Kevin because the wild cards this year have come at the 1.5-mile tracks. I don't think you can necessarily pencil them in every 1.5-mile race, but these tracks that are kind of, one-off deals, you're going to have good notes. You're going to have to really be good off the truck and have to be well prepared because we don't race here but once a year and we don't race any other place like this. I think that is the key to their success. I think they're just better prepared than everybody else and they wear them out on Sundays.
Man, singing a different tune this week, aren't we, Merriman? All right, Danny, what are you keeping your eye on for New Hampshire?
Well, for New Hampshire this weekend, I'd actually want to keep an eye on Martin Truex Jr. because he's kind of not been the same as he has in the last few years, but he did win Martinsville. And what I've noticed in the past few years, usually teams who can run well at Martinsville can usually run well at New Hampshire too because they're both good flat tracks. And, this could be an opportunity for Truex to kind of get back into his old form.
All right. Well, speaking of the bubble, because it's going to be the drink word of choice for the next month, is you're going to have to keep an eye on who's in and who's out of the NASCAR playoffs there on those bottom 4 spots. So we have to imagine that there is 2 over at Hendrick that are a little worried.
I don't think you have to imagine that at all. I think it's full on, you're worrying an ulcer in your stomach if you're William Byron or Jimmy Johnson. When Jimmy can't get out of his own way, he can't get out of anybody else's way. It's either he's caught up in someone else's mess or he overdrives the car. It's not clicking. And if you look down the line, I think Dover will see a couple Hail Marys from the 48 team because I think that's his last shot. I mean, we got a lot of racing left, but I feel confident in saying Dover is the last shot unless they get something turned around here quick.
I wouldn't say Dover's the last shot. I would throw in Daytona as well because you just never know what's going to happen. When we go to Daytona, not only for the super speedway, but for the road course, again, I've said it in past episodes, I think William Byron, has an opportunity when we go to Daytona to also get himself a playoff spot. But I would rather be Jimmy Johnson, honestly, outside the bubble because there's not that fear of falling. You have to try and make it, whereas William Byron's trying playing a little bit different game. Yes, everybody wants to win, but he's having to play the points game, I think, a little bit more than Jimmy is because he's currently inside the bubble.
I think both of these guys have opportunities coming up in the next few weeks, particularly that Daytona road course, because that can be such a wild card. And recall when we first went to the Charlotte Roval in 2018, Jimmy Johnson found himself in contention for the win at the end of that one. And this could be a great opportunity for him to, get his way in and become the first driver to win the Daytona road course in NASCAR.
I'm glad somebody mentioned the Roval, because I think with what Kim and I were talking about last week about Jimmy trying to make so much happen, I think you can pinpoint that Roval race of where that started. He could have easily come away with the win there if he would have made just enough contact with Truex, but he sent it in there a little too hard, and Blaney gets the win. I don't know. I think their opportunities are small, and to Kim's point, I disagree with that because Byron's got nothing to lose. Byron's got a career ahead of him as long as the eye can see. We know Jimmy's definite end, and he does not want to end outside of the playoffs. If Byron doesn't make the playoffs, yeah, it sucks. But it sucks for the rest of this year, and then he's got next year. Jimmy doesn't. This is it for Jimmy. So I wouldn't want to be in Jimmy Johnson's shoes right now. It's impossible, right? The pressure has got to be impossible for that guy.
Merriman, you mentioned it because this is the final year full-time with Jimmy Johnson in NASCAR. So that 48 at Hendrick Motorsports is going to be vacant. And there is a lot of rumors already starting about who is going to be in that seat come 2021.
If I'm Rick Hendrick, I want to tap Chase Briscoe. He's doing so well in the Xfinity Series. I'm not sure what kind of his progression plan is in terms of what manufacturers are after him. Obviously, he drives for Ford right now. But in talking with Chase Briscoe before the Xfinity Series season started, he was asked, what's it going to take for you to move to Cup? And he said, I want to win 8 races this season, and then I'm ready for Cup, or I feel like I've earned a spot. Well, he's already won 5, and we have a lot more racing to go. So I think he's on his way to 8 or more wins this season. I would love to see him race in the Cup Series. And again, why not just choose somebody that maybe isn't on everybody else's radar? Forget Brad, forget Eric, forget Clint Boyer, the guys that we've seen around for a while. Tap in some new talent for the Cup Series.
And one who's winning every week in the Xfinity Series.
Well, yes. But do you want to be the second Chase at Hendrick Motorsports? Nobody likes when somebody has the same name as you in the same class, right? It gets confusing. Hey, Chase, which one? All right. I think if I'm Rick Hendrick, I'm going for a more value play. I think if it's me, I'm going Corey LaJoie. I think he offers a lot of upside. Remember the note he passed to Rick Hendrick? I think that personal relationship or, that little extra step may help him. If it's me, I'm putting Corey in the car.
Well, nobody teed me up for it, so I'm going to throw out the hypothetical situation that I just want to. If the 2 car is empty, and let's say that Kez goes to Hendrick or to another team or wherever, who steps into the 2 car?
I think it's who steps up to the 2 car. So I'm going to say either Austin Cindric. Obviously, he's already in the Penske family. It would be an easy move. Or I know I mentioned him possibly as my choice for the 48, but Chase Briscoe, he's already in the Ford family. A lot of talent, has proved himself on the Xfinity side. And that's kind of, I feel like, what Roger does, like prove yourself, move up kind of thing. So I'm looking at either Cindric or Briscoe in the 2.
If Brad goes here, is it Cindric up? Is it DiBenedetto over? Then that opens up either the 21 or something else. So if no one comes up from Xfinity Series, it could be a gigantic puzzle and a gigantic snowball. And it could really – I think what happens with the 48 is going to trigger a lot of, shuffling around, a lot of moving around. Once one person makes a move, if somebody doesn't come up from a lower series and they vacate a Cup seat, I think it's going to be an insane, silly season. Just like your hand motions there.
All of the moving parts.
All those puzzles. It's puzzling.
All right, Danny, who's in the 2 car?
Well, this idea didn't even occur to me until just this week, but, there was actually a report come out that there's now some uncertainty with Levine Family Racing now for next year. So that could even bring up the strange scenario. What if Christopher Bell somehow ends up over at Penske next year? And, that's just one of those wild card drivers just, throwing it out there. Could be a possibility now, depending on how things go. Because Joe Gibbs Racing, they got nowhere to put everybody. So might have to let someone walk.
Well, I can assure you that we are just as good at predicting silly season as we are at predicting winners, which is not very good.
Pretty good.
All right. So, Danny, we appreciate you joining us here on Backseat Drivers. We hope we didn't scare you off too much. We don't bite, we promise.
I'm fine. You guys are wonderful.
All right, guys. Well, we are starting in the month of August, which to make it to the playoffs, you have to get through the month of August, and that's starting at New Hampshire, coming up at 3 p.m. on Sunday on NBCSN. Tune in. You don't want to miss it. See you next time on Backseat Drivers.